welcome to the stage Louise Jameson. Take a seat. Any name you like.
The reason I want to start serious is because what interests me is how TV and entertainment and the way it's perceived has changed over the years. And the reason I want to ask you that, particularly and why I wanted you three together, is that Louise, you've played some amazing, powerful women. When I was 8 years old, I used to be allowed to watch Tenko, which I found bizarre, but you were amazing in things like that. And of course, Leela is a strong female character. But there was often quotes that you were on there as something for the dance, which is certainly something you couldn't say now. How do you all feel about the way that that is perceived now? And at the time, did you think it was a little bit wrong?
I think women are getting a much better deal now as far as pushing forward with storyline and being adventurous. I started with Leela in 1976, which was when the equal rights bill was passed. So I was just caught abreast of feminist waves. And they didn't make her feisty, they didn't make her intelligent or educated, but they did also take the effort to make that happen. So I can see where the question's coming from, but still had to put for want of a better word, sex appeal upon the character, even though she was, in a way, equal to the Doctor. So I think we made some headway, and I think the Me Too movement has been amazing and has made a great deal more headway, and there's still a way to go. What we need most of all is more female writers, because we don't expect a 22-year-old to write about a 70-year-old woman. I can't moan about not having parts. We need 70-year-old female writers, of which I am one, as well as an actor. We need to encourage that side of the business. The actual springboard side of the business has to be more female-led for there to be a complete equality in the business. I do think it's moving in the right direction.
You were also on a Saturday tea time in a show for all the family. Do you ever think, this is too scary for tea time?
I think kids love to be scared. I think they really enjoy it. And if they're watching with an adult who knows them well, because one 10-year-old can take what another 10-year-old can, I think you kind of just have to trust the parents. I do think that my son's stepfather allowed him to watch Jaws when I wasn't there, when he was far too young. And there was 2 years of terror to, you wouldn't even paddle in the sea after that. And getting him, sorry, this is too much information, but getting him to sit on the lily was quite hard. And that's because he watched Jaws, and I would, had I been there, I would not have liked one Jaws dog. I would not have allowed the 6-year-old to watch Jaws. So I just think you just have to be a responsible parent. But Mary Whitehouse was down on us like the tiny bit, which she complained, but Mary Whitehouse complained, we got our hands in here because that was another 2 million on the period. Because people like it, reach them. My kids' school fete, when they were tiny, the headmistress rang me up and said, could I get a doctor to open the fete because they were doing science fiction. And I couldn't. I tried. And Colin Baker, bless him, donated £50 to the fete, even though he couldn't make it. So I rang up the BBC and said, have you got a spare Dalek? And they still had one in the workshop. This is when he was off, they weren't thinking of doing anymore. And I went up in my car and I collected a Dalek in bits. and took it down. I didn't know how to assemble it. The 10-year-olds helped me assemble it, and it was such a hit, I can't tell you, because they all got a go in doing exactly what you said, you know, sitting in the dark and doing it. It was much better than having a doctor there, but don't tell the doctors.
That would have been a great thing. That would have been a great thing if you passed you by seeing Leela driving with a Dalek sat nav next to her. That would be a fan's treat.
I pulled up here and a Dalek asked me for a selfie with him.
But times have changed, you see. Louise, you still play Leela for Big Finish and do other things for Big Finish. Would you go back into the TV series you had?
Oh, I'd go back in a nanosecond. Yes, of course I would. And I do masses with Big Finish, and with the first grant that the government very kindly gave us, I built a home audio studio. So I worked all the way through lockdown, which was terrific. And as soon as it was lifted, I was in the Mousetrap for 8 weeks, reopening the West End. I just wanted to be, like you say, theatres where it's at. And I've also, just do a little plug if I may, I've devised a show called Shakespeare's Mistress, which I'm going to, this year, I'm 50 years in the business, and I also turned 70. And I thought that's kind of worth celebrating. Thank you. I think I deserve a round of applause for that too. Anyway, I just thought it was worth celebrating. So I've done like a kind of desert island discs of my favourite speeches, and I link them, much like your book, with various stories from throughout the last 50 years. So I'm hoping that'll be, because we don't know where this business is going, and it's been hit, we performers have been hit so hard by lockdown, and the knock-on effect of our business hasn't really been taken into consideration, because in the West End, if you're not open, that's the dressers, that's the people on the stage door, that's the sound designers, that's the local restaurant, that's the travel to get there, that's the taxi drivers, that's the knock-on effect of the West End closing was enormous. And so I think there's going to be, I think the Fringe is going to produce some, all over the country, is going to produce some amazing theatre. And I would ask you to keep your eye out for your local Fringe theatre and just see what's happening. Because there'll be 1-2 person COVID-friendly performances going on, which are going to be extraordinary. Because lack of budget, sometimes releases creativity in a way that can't be predicted. And I think we're going to see some wonderful stuff.
We talked about what a strong character Leela was, that she was an equal to the Doctor. How did you feel about Leela's ending, that she was just quickly married off?
It was a bit of a letdown, wasn't it? I mean, she should have died saving the Doctor's life, and then he should have gone back in time and brought her back to life, so that she wasn't left murdered, obviously. But I do think it was a bit of a cop-out, but also Graham very, very kindly, sweetly, flatteringly didn't want me to leave, and tried very hard right up to the last day of filming. Even the night before we filmed the final scene, he said, we can rewrite that last scene, you can just run into the TARDIS, press the switch, you can still be travelling with him. It's so easy to do. And I'd already accepted another, Shakespeare actually, I'd already accepted another job. So I think they thought they would convince me to stay, which is why they didn't give me a leaving story. I think that's what was behind it.
You were invited back as well, weren't you?
I was invited back.
Do you know how that came about? What was the idea about getting a former companion back?
John Nathan Turner rang me up, and I knew he'd gone from floor manager to producer, and he said, would I meet him for lunch? I went, oh yes please. Thought I'm being wined and dined, he's a producer, I'll get my own series, I would, ego. And I turn up at the BBC bar, and it's a packet of peanuts and a Diet Coke. That's my dining out, that's my lunch. And he asks me if I'd go back into the series to see the leaving of Tom Baker and the arrival of, they didn't know who yet. And I said I would do the 2 stories, but I didn't want to do a whole season. I was going to do Tenko, which was a job I adored and wouldn't have missed for anything. So they said that wasn't good enough. And as I was leaving the BBC bar, and I'd been swanning around, I'd not been back since I'd done Leela, I'd been swanning around, and a cameraman, calling everyone darling, because I couldn't remember anyone's name. And a cameraman tapped me on the back and said, "You do know your dress is tucked into your knickers, don't you?" And anyway, I died of embarrassment and slunk out of there.
And Louise, do you know that you've just come into classic EastEnders on one of the drama channels?
No, where does the time go? So they're doing, this is all on BritBox, isn't it? Yes, so they're doing Doctor Who, Bergerac, Tenko, EastEnders, and have I seen a penny?
Well, it's probably in the post, isn't it?
Yeah, anyway, there it is, there's my younger self.
So please can I have a massive round of applause for Louise Jameson